Pumps versus canister filters. Two kind of filters that people use on, slightly larger tanks. I'm going to turn it over to a panel of wonderful fish keepers.
Hey, what's up YouTube? I'm Trent Wel-Don with Wel-Don Tank, and this is going to be fun to try condense this down. A sump filtration system versus a canister filtration system. Currently in my studio here where I'm filming, I have two separate aquariums that are running a Flu-Vol canister filter. They're a fantastic filter, don't get me wrong. They do exactly what I want them to do, but I would take a sump filtration system any day over a canister. I'm using a canister up here in accordance because I didn't want to build sumps for this, so call me being lazy. But the number one thing that happens with the canister filter, and I'm 100% guilty of this right now, is you forget to clean it. You look at it and you go, that can last another day, that can last another day, I'll get to it next week. Then when you have to clean it, you gotta shut it off, pop the top off, try not to get water everywhere, run with the bucket through the house, find some place to dump it where your significant other's not gonna get mad at you, then you gotta clean it, then you gotta reassemble it, and you gotta put it back together. Now with a sump filtration, it is a good idea to do a full deep cleaning occasionally, which is quite a process, but on simplicity of a sump, I feel much, safer is not the right word. I tend to maintenance it more with a sump because I can visually see what's going on. It's easy to get in there and remove a filter pad, some filter floss, and just move that out weekly and continue therefore. And I truly feel there's benefits with the sump. Now, if we go on ease of use, ease of setup, not maintenance, but ease of setup and ease of use, a canister filter is going to be much easier. It comes with the tubing you need. It is already, ready to run the pump. It's going to do exactly what it's designed to do. Whereas with a sump, you have to typically drill your aquarium. There are ways to do external overflows, but that's another step for disaster if not done properly. So a sump is more technical to set up, but in my opinion is what I would choose any day over a canister filter. But now on ease of use and plug and play, a canister filter. So I know that's a very open-ended answer. I like sumps over canisters, but I'm still using canisters because they fit the application that I needed them to. So check out what you want to do. If you want to be really technical, set up a sump. Larger systems, I think, do very well on sump filtration. And that's a whole nother video we can discuss and delve into that. But again, ease of use, ease of setup, a canister filter, you just have to remember to clean it. I recommend at least once every 2 weeks. That's my bare minimum on maintaining a canister filter.
Let's see, sump versus canister filter. Well, I'm gonna say neither, because I don't use either. I don't. I use hang on the back filters and sponge filters. So I'm gonna let John answer this one.
Oh, I could talk all day long about this and we only get 1 minute. So the logical answer here is gonna be, it depends on what you're doing. To me, if your aquarium is in that 90 gallon to 150 gallon range, that's ideal for canister filters. If it's over 150 gallons, then you're probably going to be setting up multiple canister filters, so I would go with sumps. So really my answer is both. They're both awesome. I have both in this room right here. I've got a canister there and I've got two sumps on these big tanks. They're all great. They both have their pros and cons. There's things that sumps do that canisters don't, like being able to put your heater down in there and stuff like that. There's all kinds of different pros and cons to both, but again, my answer is if you're trying to decide which one, it should probably be based on what size aquarium you have and what you have in there. But then again, I don't know, because there's so many factors in how to choose the right filter. I guess I'm just gonna have to end this by saying, I like them both. They're both great. There you go.
I've just never used a sump pump, so the winner by default is a canister filter, but I do use the Flu-Vol FX4 upstairs on my 180 gallon silver arowana tank, and I really enjoyed this filter. It does everything I need it to do in a very simple, user-friendly way, so I do prefer the canister filter over the sump pump.
In the sumps and canisters, Well, I've been using canisters for probably 25 years. I don't care for them tremendously. I still use them though. I have an FX6 on my 200 gallon and I absolutely love it. I've had canisters explode, well, not explode, but leak all over the place. And it always happens when I go out of town. You know, it never happens when you're right there. So that's a hazard to the canisters. The sumps, I have just purchased my first sump and I'm installing it now. I really like the idea of it and the fun of it because I'm going to be able to plant plants in the sump and put lights on it, and it adds more water to the water column. It's going to be an interesting journey, and I've seen people use sumps and they never complain. So, I mean, I could just list off so many of my friends have sumps and they absolutely love it, but I'm not going to do that. So I would probably say sumps for the win, even though I've never tried them myself.
Sump pump versus canister filter. I am always going to go canister filter. I have never kept a sump in the 30 plus, almost 40 years of fish keeping. I've never, ever had a sump. Now there'll be people that argue sump's the only way to go. I particularly like the canister filter. I've always been one that's been a little freaked out by sumps. If something mechanically goes wrong, next thing you know, I got 300 gallons of water on my floor. Where with the canister, I know that I'm not going to have that issue. The only downfall with canisters, if you lose power for any length of time, people tend to not realize within 2 hours of that power going off, your bacteria is dying in that canister filter. The only thing you have to remember if your power goes off when you are using a canister filter is to make sure to go unplug all those canister filters, because if it's off for an extended period of time, you are going to want to clean that canister out before you let it turn back on to start filtering your tank. Dead bacteria is not good for your tank. Anyway, guys, that would be my thought on that. I am definitely, and I'll go one step further, on all my large tanks, I use nothing but FX products. So either FX4 or FX6 on almost every one of them. So as always, guys, love your fish. It's going to be Kenny E. Check it out for now. Have a good one.
Hang on the back or canister filters? Well, I run my fish room on a linear piston air pump, so I'd say the majority of my tanks are run off of sponge filters. But with that being said, I'd have to say I have a love-hate relationship with my hang on the back filters. More than likely it's because of the way my fish room is set up, and they're hard to get to, and they're very difficult to unplug or to find out which plug goes to which hang on the back, because I have a wall of 40-gallon breeders, and some of those still have hang on the back filters as well as my sponge filters. I live in an area where I'm constantly losing power. Not all of my hang on the back filters kick back on, so motors burn up a lot in my fish room, but I do like the ones that kick back on. That's usually the ones with the motor inside. They kick right back on. I don't have a problem with those. I've always had a problem with impellers and trying to fix them and clean them. I just have had this love-hate relationship with my hang on the back filter. So I'd have to say that's probably my least favorite. Doesn't mean I don't have them. My least favorite way of filtration. Now my canister filters, I never had canister filters for the first 3 years of fish keeping. People had given me a couple of older ones, like a Fluval 404, an old one that's unnamed. I got a Marine Land. I've been using those and I have no issues with them. I have no issues with them. They run well. They clean up the tank really nice, keep it clean. But I used to think that they were very difficult to clean and change the filtration. Now, pretty much that's what I do for a living now. I go from fish tank to fish tank and do aquarium maintenance, dental offices, nursing homes, and basically I am changing canister filters. And now that I do it on a daily basis or almost daily basis, it is a piece of cake. So do I have a favorite? I do have a favorite, but it's not one that you listed. It would be my linear piston air pump running on my sponge filters. But for my larger aquariums, I'm gonna go with the canister filter. So on this 180, I keep this sparkling clean. with, what kind is this? This is an Eheim given to me. Here's the tape so I can see front and front, so I don't even have to think about it. So that's what runs my 180. And like I said, that was given to me. So I would have to say, definitely for something large like a 180, maybe even a 120 canister filter. That would be my choice for a larger tank. My 40 gallons and below, sponge filters all the way. You could take those hang in the backs and...
James here from Fish Room Fever to answer the age-old question, sump or canister filter? So I'll start off by saying that I do use both fairly often. They both have their positives and their negatives. If I had to choose one, it would definitely be a sump system. There are a lot of reasons for that. One of which is you can build it to suit. You can design it to do exactly what you need to do, how you need to do it. Another thing is they're typically easier to clean. If we're being honest, most of us with canister filters don't change the canister filter media and clean it out nearly as often as we should. Another positive of having a sump is you can move a lot of your equipment down there. All sorts of different heaters and things can be placed into your sump instead of taking up room in your main tank. Yet another benefit of a sump system is that it adds more water volume to the overall system. And what that does is it lends itself to having a little bit more stability. The more water you have, the easier it is to keep your parameters fairly constant and avoid fluctuation. And while I do love both, I definitely have to say the sump is the way to go for me.
So there you have it. The expert panel of fish tubers has spoken. Seems like canister filters wins out a little bit, but you know, a few of us haven't used either, so we picked one that we think we would use, and then some people just didn't understand the assignment and, you know, gave us both as the one they would pick. So canister filter seems to be the favorite just because it is so much simpler to use and is like a big hang on the back, whereas a sump is more, you know, involved, but it seems more versatile as well. Canister filters seem to be for your mid to slightly bigger tanks. Anything over that, people seem to say go sump pump. So I hope this video helps you if you are on the fence and not sure which one to go for. I would think canister filters are probably easier to get your hands on because they're in like every fish store possible. Give a big thank you to all the other fish tubers that agreed to partake on this video for me. And again, there'll be more of these in the future, so keep an eye out. The playlist is linked below. Again, all the channels are in description as they appeared. And remember to please like, subscribe, comment. I will catch you in the next one.